Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a great day. It is beautiful outside, it's sunny, and that is definitely a blessing these days because we have had some rain in San Diego and it has some people love it, but I definitely thrive off of the sun. So I'm very thankful for today. Let's go ahead and pray and we can go ahead and jump into it. Lord, we thank you so much. We thank you for the sun shining in the air, for the rain that's cleansed our earth, God. We thank you for the wind and just all of the beautiful wonders that you make, Lord, and that you have in this life that we get to experience, Lord. We thank you so much for this opportunity to just open your word together and to talk with you and be with you and speak with you. God, be with us through this time. Be with the other person that's hearing all of this, Lord, and opening the word along with me. And I just pray that we have a incredible next few moments just to be able to experience you, God, and help us to just hear your voice and all and everything that we do. And we thank you so much. Amen. Alrighty, folks, we're going to be in Genesis 4 today. And if we're going to go ahead and start from the top, it's the infamous story of Cain and Abel. So let's go ahead and jump into it. It says, Adam made love to his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man. Later she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked in the soil. But of course, in the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. And Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn in his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain, his offering did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face went downcast. So a little bit about this part is it kind of brushes over. So they're born, they grow up a bit, and they're working. One works with animals, one tends the land, and it shows that Cain, the way that it says it is that Cain worked with soil and he brought forth some of the fruits from the soil. It kind of brushes over like the time and the importance that was put into it, but it shows that Abel brought a really meaningful gift, a really meaningful offering. It was the fat portions from his very first flock of the babies. And I look at this and I think about how sometimes we come to God with our bare minimum, with, and don't get me wrong, God will always accept if that's all that we have. But when that's not all we have to give and we're just giving the bare minimum, I think about how no one ever wants to be a Cain. Everyone wants to be an Abel. We don't want to be the ones that are murdering and doing all the bad things as the story goes on. But I also think about how it says that the Lord was pleased and he looked with favor upon Abel and his offering. But Cain, he did not look at him with favor. And that made Cain angry. And I think about that sometimes because as much as we don't want to be a Cain, I feel like we kind of take on that mindset of, well, God, I'm showing up to church. Well, God, I'm doing this. I'm paying my tithe. I'm doing that. And you're still not moving in my life, or you're still not doing this. You're still not doing that. And we start to get angry with, why are we doing all the things right, but things are still not happening for us? And I think that that's such a crazy concept because we always think about how we're not like them, but sometimes we are, and it's not in the crazy drastic way that it's explained, but it is in a very real way when we do want to be more like Abel and be able to come with everything that we have, the thing that means the absolute most to us, in order for us to show God, this is how much you mean to me. This is how much, because I know I'm able to work. I'm able to get up every day because of the breath in my lungs that you place there, and giving glory back where glory's due. So as we continue, it says in verse 6, then the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? So I love when there's questions in the Bible because I always feel like they're either very obvious questions or rhetorical questions. It's questions that we look at and we're like, well, obviously this is the answer. And it says, If you do what's right, will you not be accepted? And I think about that because we kind of question that ourselves. We do all these things and we're like, he still doesn't see us. God still doesn't love us. God still isn't looking upon us with favor. And he's literally showing, is this not, are you not going to be loved? Are you not going to be accepted if you just do what's right? And it says, if you do not do what's right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you. You must rule over it. Now Cain said to his brother, let's go out to the field. While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, where is your brother Abel? I don't know, he replied. Am I my brother's keeper? So not only did the Lord ask him a question that he already knew the answer to, Abel not only lied to the Lord, but he got a little smart with his father. He got a little smart with God and said, am I his keeper? Am I supposed to babysit him? Is that my job? And the Lord said, what have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crop for you. You will be restless wanderer of the earth. Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer of the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. So let's go back a little bit, because I think about all of my green thumbs out there, all of the people who are great with plants, that love feeding and fueling. I'm not that person. You can see plants over in my room. I do not take care of them. They would all be dead if I had it, not if I had it my way, but if I was in charge of it. I cannot take care of plants. So if you say I'm taking all your plants away, I wouldn't think twice about it. I'd be like, way less responsibility. Thank you so much. But for those people that talk to their plants and love their plants and nurture their grounds, or just have that green thumb, if you take that sense of nature away, it feels like you're taking a piece of them, whether that's music for you or whether that's community or whatever that is for you, that you feel so alive and so at peace and so at home. And the Lord took that away from him. And Cain's response was literally, that is more than I can bear. I can, like, now I'm not going to be in your presence, Lord. And I'm not even going to have my nature. I'm not going to have my sense of home. It's too much. And he says that it's more than he can bear. And it goes down and he says that everyone who finds him will want to kill him. And I love this part. It says, but the Lord said to him, not so. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. That's so good. That's so beautiful to me, because he killed his brother. He did a very crazy, mean, sinful thing, then lied to the Lord, then got smart with him, and the Lord still had mercy on him. Yes, he took away something that he loved. Yes, there was consequences for his actions, but there was no way that the way that he killed someone and took someone out of this world, anyone was going to be able to do to him, because he was still a child of God. And I absolutely love that. And it says in verse 16, so Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Cain made love to his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad was the father of Meshujael, and he was the father of Methuselah. I'm butchering all of these words. And they were the father of, and it keeps going on. But what we're really going to pay the most mind to is just the fact that God had mercy. The fact that sometimes there was a life that Cain could have had, living on the grounds, taking care of his plants and his fields, but he robbed himself of a life by falling into jealousy, by falling into sin. And although he wasn't going to be struck down by lightning and killed by everyone, he was still going to suffer the consequences of his choices. And it's so baffling to me. It says in Romans that we do not have to fall into our sinful nature because the Spirit of God lives in us. And I think about what a beautiful notion that is, to be able to sit back and to read our word and to know that even this person who in our modern day world, and even back then, it was such an unforgivable sin of murder, of killing someone, of taking a life, especially the life of your brother, and then continuing your lie, especially to God's face, as if God doesn't already know. It's like in the beginning of Genesis when Eve ate the fruit and God asks, "Where are you?" God knew where she was. He was waiting for her to come out unashamed, to come out and tell the truth. And he did the same thing to her literal son and said, "Where's your brother? What did you do?" Cain had many opportunities to be upfront with God, to talk with God, to own up to it. But it wasn't until God had to put him in his place was when he sat back and he realized and he said, "I'm going to get killed for this. You're taking away everything that I love, and I'm not going to be in the presence of God." Sometimes we don't realize that our chains get very comfortable and our sin gets very comfortable. And we don't realize until it's pointed out to us that we're not in the presence of God when we continue to run back to those things and surround ourselves with those things. But at the end of the day, the Lord still found a way to have mercy on Cain, to have mercy on him regardless of what he did. And Cain still lived a life. He still had a wife. He still had a son and all of these things. But the fact that the Lord knew, the fact that the Lord still put a mark on him to make sure that there was not one thing that was going to happen to him harmful, is such a beautiful thing. And I think about, and I say it often, it's something that I like to say, is that we like to be our own roadblock in our walk with God. Sometimes I wrote something down the other day. It was along the lines of, God can't put his hands on what we can't take our hands off. And I think about that. His jealousy, his annoyance, his anger that had to do with his brother, he didn't sit down and talk about it. He didn't think rationally about it. He acted on it. He acted on it all because what he came with was less than the bare minimum. What he came with was whatever. It wasn't a big deal. Whereas what Abel came with was a full heart. What are we robbing ourselves of by coming with a half heart? What experiences, worship experiences, God experiences, divine interactions are we robbing ourselves from by not coming with a full heart and coming with a half heart or no heart at all? And we're just sitting there going through the motions. It's not about being in the physical building, but it's about the position of our hearts. It's not about being in a building at all. It's about being intentional with where you spend your time, who you listen to, who you talk to, who you're in community with. All of it matters. All of it matters. And if there's just anything that I can encourage you to do is just to really look at these stories, and as crazy as they are, and from what we know growing up of Cain killed Abel, it was a really bad sin and it was so mean and don't be jealous. That's the main thing that we always get from it is he killed out of jealousy. And yes, that is a main part of the story, but there are so many other aspects of it that I want us to dig just a little bit deeper and try to understand and bring into our modern day life, because our Bible is so incredible that it stands the test of time. It stands the test of time. From then till now, we can look back and say, wow, that really relates to my life. And that's actually something that I'm trying to get the youth to understand, is that the Bible is crazy. It is wild. It is crazy. So many levels to it that are like, no way this actually happened. And if it was true then and it's true now, what an incredible and awesome God do we serve, that he made sure that that is a reality for us. So as we look at this story that so many people know and read and recite, and we tell in Sabbath school and we tell the children in a very different way, can we start to look and pull out of it and see that, yes, we shouldn't be jealous of one another, and we shouldn't do vengeful things in order to get what we need in life and get what we want out of life. But at the same time, let's also look at the fact of the offering in and of itself. What do we come to God with? What do we show up with every day? And yeah, sometimes we don't have 100%. God doesn't always need your 100%. But if all you have is 50, then give the 50. If all you have is 20, then give your 20, and it's going to be the best 20 that there is. But for us to be able to start showing up for God the way that He shows up for us in our lives. And it's the least we can do. We sing the song all the time. It's your breath in our lungs. It's His breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to Him. So that's what we can do. We pour out our praise to God in the way that we can, and the way that Abel did. I'm sure that that was a really big deal, that was the fat stock from his first round of, I think it was cattle, or his first round from his flock, from his firstborn. You know how hard that must have been to kill his firstborn cattle that he raised and did the things and the process of getting there, and it meant something to him. But that was his offering, and it was absolutely everything that he had. And I think that that is so incredible for us to just look back on and to try to understand that we do have more than we offer. So let's try to give more. Let's try to do more. And I just want to encourage us to just continue to go through our books of Genesis and see that another thing is just that we can't run from our sin. We can't run from it, but we are saved from it. It doesn't own us. Like I said, it says in Romans that we are not owned by our sinful nature because Christ died for us, because the Spirit of the living God lives in us and through us. So there's absolutely no way that we can be completely and entirely tied down to that, because God paid the ultimate price. And just know that we can try to cover ourselves and sin in private and remove ourselves and hide in our little corner, but God sees it and He loves us. And I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because it does matter. We always need to try to do better as human beings, as people on this earth, as Christians, as Christ followers. But to know that we are not owned by that sinful nature. We are not dictated by that sinful nature, because we have freedom. We have freedom. That's the good news, you know? It's the Spirit of the living God is real. He walks, He talks, He lives, He walks beside me. He goes to bed with me. We wake up in the morning, we go for a drive. He is there and He is present. And if we can just give that acknowledgement to Him, that He is so omnipresent, He is so here and ready for us to come to Him with a full heart, not with a half heart, and to not be jealous because we see promise going on in other people's lives, because we see favor upon other people, because we don't know what's going on in their spiritual life, but we know what's going on in ours. And to be able to reflect on that and to look back and to say, you know what, God, I'm going to try. Even if all I have is 20%, I'm going to try to give you another 2%. I'm going to try to give another 10%. And I'm not talking about monetarily. I'm talking about spiritually. Monetarily too, that's great. But just in general, what we have to give, even to our family, to the people around us, to our friends. Sometimes we get off of work and we're like, I do not want to talk to anyone. No one look at me. No one think about me. I need to be by myself. But when a friend reaches out to you, or someone says, hey, I'm really going through it, maybe we have something to give. Maybe we can give ourselves just a little bit more to those gifts and those callings that God calls us to. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you all so much for sitting with me and enjoying this time and the beautiful sun. And I absolutely love it. But I hope we all have a great rest of your day and a great week. We love you. We thank you. And we are excited to see you every Saturday. So we'll see you soon, folks. Bye.